At my dad's birthday dinner, my sister looked at my son and said, "Sit on the floor. These seats are for the real grandkids." Then she kicked his chair back until he fell. Everyone laughed except me. I paid the $620 dinner bill without a word, drove home, and removed my name from every loan, keeping their house running. By dawn, Dad was blowing up my phone. "My name is Timothy. I am 36 years old. And if there is one thing I have learned in the 8 years since my mother died, it is this: you can be essential to people who will never see you as family." When Mom passed, she left behind a mortgage that would have crushed my father. The house was underwater. The equity line was maxed. Dad was 60 then, working part-time at the hardware store, barely pulling in enough to cover utilities. Caroline, my older sister, had 2 kids and a husband who cycled through jobs like other people change socks. She needed help with daycare, with groceries, with her car payments. She needed a lot. So, I stepped in. I was 28, single, working in logistics, making decent money. I co-signed the mortgage refinance, then the home equity line, then Dad's car loan when his truck died, then the credit cards when medical bills piled up after his knee surgery. My name went on everything. My credit score became the family foundation. Caroline never co-signed anything. She said her credit was too damaged. Dad never asked her to. He always had this soft look in his eyes when he talked about her kids, about how hard it was for her. He would say she was doing her best. And I was dependable. I was the one who could handle it. I handled it for 8 years. During that time, I met Dennis. He was 4 years old in the foster system. Bright brown eyes and a smile that lit up rooms. I adopted him when he was 5. The process took forever, but the moment the judge finalized it, I knew I had found my purpose. Dennis became my son in every way that mattered. My family met him once at a barbecue. Dad shook his hand, awkward and distant. Caroline barely looked at him. Her kids, Philip and Sandra, ignored him completely. I told myself it would get better. I told myself they just needed time. They never needed time. They needed money. Every month I sent payments. Every emergency I wired funds. When Caroline's AC broke, I covered it. When Dad needed dental work, I paid half. When Philip wanted to go to basketball camp, I quietly funded it because Caroline said she could not afford it. Dennis asked me once why we never went to Grandpa's house for dinner. I told him, "They are busy." He looked at me with those wide, trusting eyes and said, "Okay, Dad." I hated lying to him. But the truth was worse. The truth was that my family only called when they needed something. And I gave it because I thought that is what family did. I thought if I kept giving, kept proving my value, they would see me. They would see Dennis. I was wrong. The birthday dinner invitation came 3 weeks before the event. Caroline sent a group text. Dad was turning 68. She was organizing a dinner at Marcelli's, the Italian place downtown with the white tablecloths and the $80 steaks. She wrote that everyone had to come. She wrote that it was important. She wrote that we were family. Dennis saw the text over my shoulder. He asked if we were going. I looked at that message for a long time. Then I said, "Yeah, buddy, we're going." He smiled. He was 7 years old and he smiled because he thought his family wanted to see him. I should have known better. I should have seen the trap. But I wanted to believe. I wanted one dinner where I was not invisible. Where Dennis was not invisible. I booked a sitter for backup, then canceled it. I bought Dennis a new shirt, navy blue with buttons. I ironed it myself. I told him to be polite, to smile, to show them how smart and kind he was. I told him they would love him. The lie sat heavy in my chest the entire drive to the restaurant. The private dining room smelled like garlic and bread. The table was long, set for 12, candles flickering and glass holders. Dad sat at the head, Caroline to his right, her husband Albert beside her. Philip and Sandra took the next 2 seats. Extended family filled the rest. Aunts, uncles, cousins I barely saw except at funerals. Dennis and I arrived exactly on time. I held his hand as we walked in. He wore his navy shirt, his hair combed neat. He looked perfect. Caroline glanced up from her phone. Her eyes swept over Dennis like he was furniture. "Oh," she said. "You brought him." "Not, you brought Dennis." "Not hi, nephew. Just him." I felt Dennis's hand tighten in mine. "This is Dad's birthday dinner," I said, keeping my voice even. "Of course, I brought my son." Caroline's smile did not reach her eyes. She gestured vaguely toward the far end of the table near the kitchen door where the noise was loudest. "There is space down there," she said. I walked Dennis to the end. We sat. The shea chairs were close to the swinging kitchen door. Every time a server pushed through, the door bumped the back of Dennis's chair. He did not complain. He sat quietly, hands folded on the table, trying to be good. Philip, Caroline's 12-year-old, yelled something about basketball. Sandra, who was 10, laughed too loud at her own joke. Dad smiled at them, that soft look in his eyes. He barely looked at Dennis. The appetizers came. Calamari, bruschetta, stuffed mushrooms. Plates were passed around. Dennis reached for a piece of bread. Caroline's voice cut through the room. "Dennis, sweetie, those are for the family." Every head turned. Dennis froze, hand halfway to the breadbasket. I stared at her. "Excuse me." She waved a hand, casual, dismissive. "The good stuff is for the people who actually belong here. He can have bread after." My jaw clenched. I took a piece of bread and put it on Dennis's plate myself. He looked down, face red, eyes glassy. "He is my son," I said quietly. "He belongs here." Caroline sighed like I was being difficult. "Timothy, you know what I mean. We are blood. He as well, you know." She did not finish the sentence. She did not have to. Dinner arrived. Steaks, lobster tails, pasta, and cream sauce. The smell was rich, overwhelming. Dad made a toast about gratitude and family. He thanked Caroline for organizing. He thanked everyone for coming. He did not mention me. He did not look at Dennis. We ate in silence at the far end. Dennis cut his chicken carefully, chewing slowly. I could see him trying not to cry. Then dessert came. Tiramisu, cannoli, a massive chocolate cake with 68 candles. Everyone sang. Philip and Sandra crowded around Dad, phones out taking photos. The server brought extra chairs to the head of the table so the grandkids could sit close for pictures. Dennis stood up. He walked toward the group, hesitant, hopeful. Caroline turned and saw him, her face twisted. "Dennis, stop," she said sharply. He stopped. She pointed at the floor beside her chair. "Sit there on the floor. These seats are for the real grandkids." The room went silent. My heart dropped into my stomach. Dennis looked at me confused, hurt. "Caroline," I started, my voice shaking. She ignored me. She walked over to Dennis, grabbed the back of his chair from the end of the table, and dragged it back. I said, "Sit on the floor," she repeated. Dennis tried to sit back down in his chair. Caroline kicked it hard. The chair tipped. Dennis fell backward, his head hitting the tile with a crack that echoed through the room. He lay there stunned, eyes wide, and they laughed. Philip laughed. Sandra giggled. Albert smirked into his wine. Dad chuckled, shaking his head like it was all some joke. Aunts and uncles looked away, uncomfortable, but no one said a word. Caroline stood over Dennis, hands on her hips. "I told you to sit on the floor," she said. I was already moving. I scooped Dennis up, checked his head. No blood, but a red mark blooming on his scalp. His eyes were wet, face crumpled. "Dad," I said, my voice breaking. "Say something." Dad looked at me, then at Caroline. Then he shrugged. "Timothy, do not make a scene," he said quietly. "It is my birthday." I carried Dennis out of the restaurant. He pressed his face into my shoulder, shaking. I did not say goodbye. I did not look back. I walked through the dining room, past the laughter, past the cake, past my father, who still sat smiling at the head of the table like nothing had happened. The server caught me at the door. She held the bill, awkward, apologetic. "Sir, the birthday party bill." I took it. $620. Steaks, lobster, wine, cake, tip included. I pulled out my card and paid. I signed the receipt. My hand did not shake. I felt nothing. I was a blank space. A void. Outside, the air was cold. I buckled Dennis into the back seat. He was quiet now, staring at his hands. I got in the driver's seat and gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. I wanted to scream. I wanted to go back inside and flip that table. I wanted to grab Caroline by the shoulders and ask her what was wrong with her. How she could do that to a child, to my child. But I did not. I started the car and drove home. Dennis fell asleep in the back seat. I carried him inside, laid him on his bed, pulled the blanket over him. I sat on the floor beside his bed for a long time, watching him breathe. He was 7 years old. He had done nothing wrong. He had smiled, been polite, tried so hard to be good, and they had humiliated him. They had laughed. I thought about every payment I had made, every cosign loan, every emergency fund I had wired without question. I had given them 8 years of financial security. I had kept that house running. I had kept their cars insured. I had kept their lights on, and they had kicked my son's chair out from under him. I walked to my office. I sat at the desk. The room was dark except for the glow of my laptop screen. I opened my files, every loan document, every co-signature agreement, every account I had tied my name to. I had kept meticulous records, dates, amounts, terms, contact information for every lender. It was 11 p.m. I had not cried. I had not yelled. I had not broken anything. I just sat there staring at the list. Mortgage, home equity line, Dad's car loan, 2 credit cards in my name that Dad used, Caroline's car insurance that I paid because she said she could not afford it, Philip's orthodontist payments that came out of my account automatically, $340,000 in total obligations, my name on every single one. I thought about Dennis's face when he fell. The sound of his head hitting the tile. The laughter. I opened the first lender's website. I logged into my account. I navigated to the cosigner section. I read the terms. Most cosigners cannot remove themselves from active loans without refinancing. But there were exceptions. Fraud, misuse of cosign credit, breach of agreed terms. I had options. I pulled up my phone. I took a breath and I started making calls. By 3 a.m., I had contacted every lender. I had filed cosigner removal requests where possible. I had reported unauthorized use on the credit cards. I had flagged the accounts for review. Some required paperwork. Some required affidavit. I filled everything out. I did not sleep. By dawn, the first emails arrived. Confirmation notices, account status changes, pending reviews. My phone buzzed. Dad's number. I let it ring. It buzzed again and again. Dennis woke up quiet. He ate his cereal without talking. I made him pancakes, his favorite, but he only picked at them. When I asked if his head hurt, he shook his head, but I saw the way he kept touching the spot where he had hit the tile. Dad, do they not like me? He asked finally, his voice small. I knelt beside his chair. I looked him in the eye. Dennis, listen to me. You did nothing wrong. Nothing. What happened last night was not about you. It was about them. But Aunt Caroline said I was not real family. My chest tightened. I chose my next words carefully. Family is not about blood. Family is about who shows up, who cares, who protects you. I am your family. You are mine. And no one gets to treat you that way. He nodded slowly. He did not look convinced. I got him settled with the movie and went back to my office. My phone had 14 missed calls, 12 from Dad, 2 from Caroline. I ignored them all. Instead, I called the mortgage lender. A rep named Patricia answered. This is Timothy Martinez, I said. I am a cosigner on account ending in 4739. I need to discuss removal. Patricia pulled up the account. Mr. Martinez, cosigner removal typically requires the primary borrower to refinance or qualify independently. Has there been a change in circumstances? Yes, I said. The primary borrower has been using my co-signature without honoring the agreed terms. I was told my involvement was temporary. It has been 8 years. I am formally requesting removal and notifying you that I will not be responsible for future missed payments. There was a pause typing. I see. We will need documentation, correspondence showing the temporary agreement, proof of breach. I had it. I had emails from Dad 8 years ago promising he would refinance within 2 years. I had texts from Caroline saying they just needed help for now. I will send everything today, I said. I hung up and called the next lender and the next. Each call was calm, professional. I explained the same thing. Breach of terms, unauthorized use, request for removal. By noon, I had sent 47 pages of documentation, emails, texts, bank statements showing I had made payments they had promised to handle. My phone rang again. Dad, I answered this time. Timothy, what the hell are you doing? His voice was sharp, panicked. I am removing my name from your loans, I said calmly. You cannot do that. The bank called me. They said you filed complaints. They are reviewing the accounts. They said, if you pull out, I have to refinance or they will accelerate the loan. I cannot refinance. You know that. Then you should not have let Caroline kick my son to the floor. Silence. Timothy, that was she did not mean. It was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? I repeated. My voice was ice. She told him he was not real family. She kicked his chair. He hit his head. And you laughed. I did not laugh. You did nothing. You told me not to make a scene at your birthday dinner. Dad, you chose her. You always choose her. She is my daughter and Dennis is my son and you let her humiliate him. His breathing was ragged. Timothy, please we can talk about this. Just stop whatever you are doing with the banks. We will fix this. No. I said you will not because there is nothing to fix. You made your choice. Now I am making mine. I hung up. Within an hour, Caroline called. What did you say to Dad? She demanded. He is freaking out. He said you are pulling out of the loans. You cannot do that. That is not fair. Not fair. I laughed cold and bitter. You want to talk about fair? Timothy? Seriously, you are going to ruin everything because of one little incident. One little incident, I repeated. You assaulted my son. Oh my God, I did not assault him. He fell. Kids fall. Stop being dramatic. I hung up on her too. The messages kept coming. Texts from Dad, voicemails from Caroline, an email from Albert calling me selfish. I blocked them all. They showed up at my door 2 days later. Dad and Caroline. No warning. I heard the knock and looked through the peephole. My stomach dropped. I opened the door but did not invite them in. We need to talk, Dad said. He looked tired. His face was gray. No, I said. We do not. Caroline pushed past him. Timothy, stop being childish. You are destroying everything. I am not doing anything. I am just stepping back. Stepping back? she snapped. The bank is threatening foreclosure. Dad's car loan is in default review. My insurance got canceled. You are sabotaging us. I paid for your insurance for 3 years, I said, my voice flat. I was never supposed to. That was supposed to be temporary. Well, I could not afford it. That is not my problem. Her face flushed red. You are family. You are supposed to help. I helped for 8 years. And the one time I needed you to show basic decency to my son, you failed. Dad stepped forward. Timothy, please. I am sorry. Caroline is sorry. We made a mistake. But you cannot punish the whole family for one bad night. One bad night, I repeated. I looked at Caroline. Do you even remember what you said to Dennis? She crossed her arms. I said he should sit on the floor. I was joking. You told him he was not real family. You kicked his chair. He fell and hit his head. And you laughed. He is fine. He is not fine, I shouted. My voice cracked. He asked me this morning if he did something wrong. He asked me why you do not like him. He is 7 years old. Caroline, 7. She rolled her eyes. Timothy, you are being so dramatic. He is adopted. I mean he is not actually blood. I did not think you would get so upset. The words hung in the air. Not actually blood. I stared at her, then at Dad, who looked away uncomfortable. Get out, I said quietly. Timothy. Dad started. Get out of my house right now. Caroline scoffed. Fine. But when Dad loses the house, when we are all homeless, that is on you. No, I said, stepping closer. That is on you. You spent 8 years treating me like a wallet. You spent 8 years taking and never once saying thank you. You mocked my son in front of the entire family. You humiliated him. You humiliated me. And now you are here not to apologize, not to make it right, but to demand I keep paying. We are family, Dad said weakly. No, I said, family does not do what you did. Family does not laugh when a child gets hurt. Family does not pick favorites. You chose Caroline over me my entire life. You chose her kids over Dennis. You made your choice. Now live with it. I stepped back and started to close the door. Timothy, wait. Dad grabbed the doorframe. Please, I am begging you. I cannot lose the house. Your mother, she loved that house. I cannot let it go. I looked at him for a moment. I saw the man who used to read me bedtime stories. The man who taught me to ride a bike. But that man was gone. Or maybe he had never been there at all. You should have thought of that before you let her hurt my son, I said. I closed the door. I locked it. I heard them standing outside arguing in low voices. Then footsteps, then silence. I leaned against the door, breathing hard. Dennis appeared at the end of the hallway, holding his stuffed bear. Who is that? He asked. I walked over and picked him up. He was getting too big for this, but I held him anyway. No one important, I said. He rested his head on my shoulder. Okay, Dad. 1 week after the dinner, I received the first official notice. The mortgage lender had flagged the account for cosigner dispute. They were reviewing my removal request. In the meantime, they had suspended automatic withdrawals from my account. Dad would have to make the payments himself now. I doubted he could. I sat at my desk and opened the folder I had been building for years. It was labeled Family Finances, but it should have been labeled Proof. Inside were 8 years of records. Every payment I had ever made. Every wire transfer. Every check. Every automatic withdrawal. I had bank statements showing $127,000 in direct payments to the mortgage, another $48,000 to the home equity line, car loans totaling $35,000, credit card payments, insurance, utilities, medical bills. It all added up, $343,612.18. I had tracked every penny. I had also kept the correspondence. The emails from Dad promising to refinance within 2 years. The text from Caroline saying she just needed help this one time. The voicemails asking for emergency funds. Always urgent. Always temporary. None of it had been temporary. I scanned everything. I organized it into a single PDF 89 pages long labeled Martinez Family Financial History 2,016,204. I included a cover page with a summary, a timeline, a breakdown by category. Then I printed 3 copies. One for my records, one for my lawyer, one to keep in a safety deposit box. I had no intention of using this in court. I did not want a legal battle. I just wanted out. But if they pushed, if they tried to claim I owed them something, I would bury them in evidence. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Albert, Caroline's husband. You need to stop this. You are ruining lives. Dad is going to lose everything. Caroline is stressed. The kids are scared. Just man up and fix this. I stared at the message. Then I blocked the number. Another text came through. Philip, Caroline's son. He was 12. Uncle Timothy, why did you stop paying for my basketball camp? Mom said you were being mean. I closed my eyes. Philip was a kid. He did not understand, but I could not keep paying. I could not keep funding a family that treated my son like garbage. I typed back, Ask your mom. Then I blocked him too. I went back to my computer. I logged into the home equity line account. The balance was $62,000. The minimum payment was $780 per month. I had been paying it for 6 years. I navigated to the cosigner section again. I had already filed the removal request. Now, I needed to follow up. I wrote an email to the lender's dispute department. I attached the correspondence from Dad. I explained that the co-signature was obtained under false pretenses, that I was promised temporary involvement, that 8 years was not temporary. I hit send. Next, I called the car loan company. I had co-signed 2 vehicles, Dad's truck and Caroline's SUV. Both were in default review now that I had flagged the accounts. The rep, a man named Benjamin, was sympathetic. Mr. Martinez, I understand this is a difficult situation. We have reviewed your documentation. Based on the evidence, we agree that your co-signature was misrepresented. However, removing a co-signer from an active loan is complicated. The primary borrowers will need to refinance or we will have to repossess the vehicles. Understood, I said. How long do they have? 30 days to arrange refinancing. If they cannot, repossession will be scheduled. Thank you, I said and hung up. I felt nothing. No guilt, no regret, just a cold, clear certainty that I was doing the right thing. Dennis knocked on my office door. Dad, can we have popcorn and watch a movie? I looked at him. His smile was tentative, like he was still not sure if I was okay. I stood up and closed the laptop. Yeah, buddy, let's do that. We made popcorn. We watched a superhero movie. Dennis laughed at the funny parts. He leaned against me, warm and safe. And for the first time in 8 years, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. 30 days after the birthday dinner, the cascade began. The first notice arrived at Dad's house on a Monday morning. Mortgage default. The lender had accepted my cosigner removal. Dad had 60 days to refinance or face foreclosure proceedings. He called me 14 times that day. I did not answer. On Tuesday, Caroline's SUV was repossessed. She had parked it at the mall. When she came out, it was gone. She posted about it on Facebook, calling me evil, calling me vindictive, saying I was destroying the family. Her friends commented with sympathy. A few asked what had happened. She did not mention the birthday dinner. She did not mention Dennis. On Wednesday, the home equity line went into default. The bank sent a formal notice. They were accelerating the loan. The full balance, $62,000, was now due immediately. Dad called again. This time, he left a voicemail. Timothy, please. I am begging you. I do not have this kind of money. They are going to take the house. Your mother's house. Please, son. Just talk to me. I listened to the voicemail twice. Then I deleted it. On Thursday, the credit cards were frozen. Dad had been using 2 cards in my name. I had reported them for unauthorized use. The credit card companies investigated and agreed. The cards were canceled. The balances totaling $18,000 were transferred entirely to Dad's liability. He could not pay them. On Friday, I got a call from my lawyer. Her name was Nancy. I had hired her the week after the dinner. Timothy, I have new, she said. The mortgage lender has officially removed you as cosigner. You are no longer liable for any payments or defaults. The home equity line is also resolved. They have agreed to remove your name in exchange for your documented proof of misuse. You are clear. Relief flooded through me. What about the car loans? Same. Both vehicles are in repossession. The lenders have absolved you of liability. You are completely free. I exhaled. Thank you, Nancy. Timothy, I have to ask, are you sure about this? Your father is going to lose the house. Your sister is going to lose her car. This is going to devastate them. They devastated my son, I said quietly. They had a choice. They made it. There was a pause. Okay, if you need anything else, call me. I hung up and sat in the silence. That evening, Caroline showed up at my door again. This time, she was alone. Her face was red, eyes puffy. Timothy, please, I am sorry. Okay, I am sorry for what I said. I am sorry for what I did. But you are killing us. Dad is going to be homeless. I lost my car. I cannot get the kids to school. I cannot do this. I stood in the doorway. I did not let her in. You are not sorry, I said. You are scared. There is a difference. I am sorry, she shouted. I messed up. I know I did. But this is too much. This is cruel. Cruel, I repeated. You want to talk about cruel? You told my 7-year-old son he was not real family. You kicked his chair. He hit his head. And you laughed. Everyone laughed. And now you are here crying because you are facing consequences. Timothy, I will apologize to Dennis. I will make it right. Just stop this, please. No. Her face twisted. You are a monster. Maybe, I said. But I am a monster who protects his son. I closed the door. She pounded on it, screaming. I did not open it. Eventually, she left. On Saturday, the foreclosure notice was posted. Dad had 45 days to vacate. The house my mother had loved, the house I had kept running for 8 years was gone. Caroline posted again on Facebook. This time, she tagged me. She wrote a long post about how I had abandoned the family, how I had destroyed Dad's life, how I was selfish and heartless. The comments were mixed. Some people sided with her. Some people asked questions. A few people who knew me, who knew the truth, messaged me privately. One message stood out. It was from my cousin Emma. She had been at the birthday dinner. She wrote, "I saw what Caroline did to Dennis. I am sorry I did not say anything. You were doing the right thing." I did not respond, but I saved the message. On Sunday, I took Dennis to the park. We played on the swings. He laughed, his face bright, his hair messy in the wind. "Dad, can we get ice cream?" he asked. "Yeah, buddy, we can." We walked to the ice cream shop. He got chocolate. I got vanilla. We sat on a bench and ate in the sunshine. He looked up at me. "Dad, are you okay?" I smiled. "Yeah, Dennis, I am, and I meant it." 6 months after the birthday dinner, Dad lost the house. The foreclosure went through. He moved into a small apartment across town, subsidized 1 bedroom. He stopped calling me. Caroline lost more than the car. Her husband, Albert, left her 3 months after the repossession. He blamed her for the financial collapse. He blamed me, too. But he left her anyway. She moved in with a friend. Philip and Sandra stayed with her, but the strain showed. She stopped posting on Facebook. She disappeared. I heard updates through Emma. She kept me informed, not because I asked, but because she thought I should know. Dad was working more hours at the hardware store. Caroline was doing gig work, delivering groceries. They were surviving barely. I felt no guilt. Dennis and I moved to a new apartment. It was smaller than the old place, but it was ours. Bright, clean, safe. I painted his room blue, his favorite color. I bought him a new bookshelf. We filled it with stories about heroes and adventures and families that chose each other. He started 2nd grade. He made friends. He joined soccer. He smiled more. He stopped asking about Grandpa and Aunt Caroline. One evening, we were sitting on the couch watching a movie when he turned to me. "Dad, why did they not like me?" It was the first time he had asked in months. I paused the movie. I looked at him. "Dennis, some people do not know how to see value in others. They only see what they think matters. Blood, money, things like that. But those things do not make a family. Love makes a family. Respect makes a family. And they did not have that. But you love them," he said quietly. "You help them." "I did," I said. "But love is not enough if it only goes one way. I gave and they took and took. And when they hurt you, I realized I had to stop because you are my priority. You will always be my priority." He nodded. He leaned his head against my shoulder. "I am glad you are my dad," he said. My throat tightened. "I am glad you are my son." We finished the movie. I tucked him into bed. I stood in his doorway for a moment, watching him sleep, safe and warm. I had no regrets. A week later, I got a letter. It was from Dad. The handwriting was shaky. I almost threw it away, but I opened it. "Timothy, I know you will not forgive me. I know I do not deserve it, but I need you to know that I'm sorry. I am sorry for everything. I am sorry I did not see you. I am sorry I let Caroline hurt Dennis. I am sorry I failed you as a father. I lost the house. I lost everything. But I did not lose it because of you. I lost it because I was too weak to stand up for what was right. You were always the strong one. You were always the one who held everything together. And I took that for granted. I hope someday you can forgive me. But I understand if you cannot. I love you, son. I always have." Dad, I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it and put it in a drawer. Maybe someday I would respond. Maybe someday I would let him meet Dennis again. Let him try to make amends. But not today. Today I had a life to build, a son to raise, a future that was mine. I walked into the living room. Dennis was building a tower with blocks. It was tall, precarious, leaning slightly to one side. "Dad, look," he said, eyes bright. I knelt beside him. "That is amazing, buddy." He grinned. "Do you think it will fall?" "Maybe," I said. "But if it does, we will build it again." He nodded. "Together." I agreed. The tower wobbled. Then it stood. And we sat there side by side watching it hold.